Have you ever wondered what truly happens when you stop touching that part of yourself, when you quietly let go of something that once brought not just pleasure but peace? It's a question most people avoid asking, yet it lingers silently in the hearts of many as they step into their golden years. I remember a conversation I had not long ago with a man named George. At 72, George had lived what many would call a respectable life. A proud father, a devoted husband to his late wife, and a retired school principal known for his wisdom and steady hand. But when the doors closed, when the house was quiet, and the nights stretched long, George found himself wrestling with a feeling he couldn't quite explain. One afternoon, as we sat together on the porch of his modest home, the scent of jasmine heavy in the air, he finally voiced the question he'd been carrying for years. "Doc," he began, his voice low and hesitant, "is it normal to just lose interest? I stopped a long time ago. Felt like it wasn't proper anymore, maybe even dangerous at my age. But now, I can't help but wonder what I might have lost along with it." That question struck me deeply because it's not just about physical intimacy, it's about life itself. You see, what George was really asking wasn't about the act of self-pleasure. He was asking about connection. He was asking whether his decision to step away from that private corner of his life had cost him more than he realized. And the truth is, it might have. When we talk about stopping masturbation in old age, most people think the consequences are limited to the physical realm. But what often goes unnoticed is how deeply this decision ripples through every part of our well-being, affecting our emotions, our mental clarity, even the way we see ourselves. Let's start with the body, because that's where most concerns naturally fall. Over the years, many seniors have been quietly led to believe that engaging in self-pleasure might be harmful to their aging hearts or fragile health. But the body doesn't simply shut down its natural rhythms with age. In fact, it craves those moments of gentle release, not just for pleasure, but for healing. When you stop engaging with your own body in this way, subtle but significant changes begin to take place. Blood circulation, especially in the lower regions of the body, begins to slow. Muscles that once remained active through natural tension and release start to weaken. And more importantly, the hormonal balance that plays such a vital role in your mood, sleep, and emotional well-being starts to falter. You see, every time you experience release, your body floods with a symphony of beneficial chemicals. Dopamine lifts your mood, oxytocin soothes your heart, and prolactin prepares you for the deep, restful sleep your body so desperately needs. But when that cycle stops, you're not just foregoing a moment of pleasure, you're withholding a natural medicine that your body is quietly asking for. And that brings us back to George. As we talked more that afternoon, he confessed that over the past few years, his nights had grown longer and lonelier. Sleep came less easily, and when it did, it was shallow and restless. His mood had grown heavier, his patience thinner, and somewhere along the way, the man who once found joy in the simple things, birdsong in the morning, the warmth of sunlight on his face, felt as though that joy had quietly slipped away. This wasn't coincidence. It was chemistry. And it's a story that echoes through the lives of many who unknowingly trade away their well-being in the name of restraint, not realizing that what they see as denial is often self-neglect in disguise. But it doesn't have to stay that way. What I told George, and what I want to share with you now, is that reconnecting with your own body doesn't have to be a grand act. It doesn't have to feel like a return to youth or some reckless indulgence. It can be a quiet, gentle reminder that you are still here. That your body, with all its beautiful imperfections and stories etched in every line and scar, is still capable of bringing you comfort. Because when we stop touching that part of ourselves, when we let the dust settle over something that was once vibrant and alive, we're not just losing a physical act, we're losing a pathway back to our own humanity. And no matter how many candles were on your last birthday cake, that part of you never stops deserving love, attention, and care. So, I ask you to consider this. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to feel alive, not just through memories of days gone by, but through the quiet, powerful connection with your own body? In the next part of our conversation, we'll explore exactly what happens emotionally and mentally when you stop this practice, and more importantly, how gently reclaiming it can transform not just your nights, but the very way you experience the days ahead. Stay with me, because the story isn't finished yet. In fact, the best part may still be waiting for you. As we pick up this conversation, I want you to pause for a moment and think back to a time when you felt truly connected to yourself. Not through the roles you played, father, mother, caregiver, friend, but through the simple awareness of your own being. That quiet sense of peace that comes when your mind isn't racing ahead to tomorrow or clinging to the regrets of yesterday, but instead resting fully in the warmth of the present. For many, this feeling becomes a distant memory, something lost along the way in the rush of life's responsibilities, in the quiet sacrifices we make for others. And as the years pass, the connection with ourselves, our deepest needs, our most private joys, fades into the background like a forgotten melody. But what if I told you that it's still there? That buried beneath the surface of daily routines and long-held beliefs lies a part of you quietly waiting to be seen again. You see, when we stop engaging with our own bodies, the effects go far beyond the physical. The emotional landscape begins to change in ways that aren't always easy to see at first. It starts subtly, restlessness that doesn't seem to have a cause, a heaviness in the heart that lingers even after the sun rises on a new day. And then, over time, it grows into something more, loneliness that settles in the bones, a sense of isolation that no amount of social interaction seems to ease. This isn't just about the absence of physical touch, it's about the absence of emotional release. I remember speaking with Judith, a retired nurse who had spent more than 40 years caring for others, her life dedicated to easing the pain and suffering of those who crossed her path. Yet, in all her years of service, she had quietly neglected her own emotional wounds. One rainy afternoon, sitting by the window of her small apartment, she looked out at the gray sky and admitted something she had never told anyone. "I feel like I've forgotten how to be close to myself," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "And I don't just mean physically. I mean, really close. It's as if I've spent so long taking care of others that I don't remember how to care for me." Her words hung heavy in the air, and I could feel the weight of the years she carried, the unspoken grief, the quiet exhaustion, the simple longing to feel whole again. This is where the emotional impact of stopping self-pleasure reveals itself most clearly. It's not about the act itself, it's about what that act represents. When we engage in moments of intimate connection with ourselves, we're doing something far more profound than seeking pleasure. We're practicing self-compassion. We're reminding ourselves that amidst all the demands and expectations of life, our own needs matter too. We're releasing the emotional tensions that build up like unseen storms, making space for calm, for clarity, for peace. And it's in this space that healing begins. Science supports what the heart already knows. The chemicals released during self-pleasure, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, aren't just responsible for momentary feelings of happiness. They work at a deeper level, soothing anxiety, lifting depression, and quieting the restless mind. They help regulate sleep patterns, lower blood pressure, and even strengthen the immune system. But beyond the science is something even more powerful, the emotional freedom that comes when you give yourself permission to feel without judgment. For Judith, that permission became a turning point. Slowly, gently, she began to explore her own comfort, not as an act of indulgence, but as a quiet rebellion against the years she spent putting everyone else first. And in doing so, she found something she thought she had lost forever, a sense of belonging within her own skin. Her days began to brighten. She started painting again, something she hadn't done in decades. Her conversations became livelier, her laughter more frequent. And though nothing in her external world had dramatically changed, her internal world became a softer, kinder place to live. This is the emotional transformation that awaits when we stop denying ourselves the simple joys of connection. It's about reclaiming the parts of ourselves we thought had grown silent, about stepping back into a sense of wholeness that no external circumstance can provide. So, I ask you, what emotional weight have you been carrying simply because you've forgotten how to let it go? What moments of peace have slipped through your fingers because you believed they were no longer yours to claim? There's no shame in these questions. In fact, asking them is the first brave step toward change. And as we prepare to enter the final part of this journey, I want you to hold this thought close. It is never too late to come home to yourself. Whether you're 60, 70, or well into your 80s, the door is still open, and the path back to joy is still waiting for you. Stay with me, because in the final part, we'll explore how this reconnection doesn't just heal the body and the mind, it lights a new path forward, one filled with vitality, purpose, and the kind of peace that settles deeply into the soul. And isn't that what you've truly been searching for all along? As we step into this final part of our journey together, I want you to imagine something with me. Picture yourself standing at a threshold, not of a house or a room, but of your own life. Behind you lies everything familiar, the years of hard work, the sacrifices, the silent battles, the roles you've played so dutifully. Ahead of you stretches a path not defined by age or limitation, but by freedom. Freedom to feel, to heal, to embrace the parts of yourself you've left waiting patiently in the shadows. And right there at that threshold stands a simple but powerful question. Are you ready to choose yourself again? Choosing yourself doesn't mean turning your back on anyone you've loved or cared for. It means finally stepping into a space where you care for yourself with the same tenderness and compassion you've so freely given to others. And yes, that means embracing every part of what it means to be alive, including the part that longs for connection, for intimacy, for release. You see, when you stop denying yourself those small moments of physical and emotional release, something remarkable begins to happen. The heaviness that's settled in your chest starts to lift. Your days feel lighter, your nights more restful. And the most beautiful change of all? You begin to feel more present, more fully alive in the moments that make life worth living. This isn't just theory, it's real, tangible transformation. I've seen it time and time again. Men and women who thought their best years were behind them suddenly rediscover the joy of simply being, feeling the warmth of the morning sun, hearing the laughter of a grandchild with renewed delight, tasting their favorite meal as if for the very first time. Life becomes richer, more colorful, and far more meaningful when you reconnect with the rhythms of your own body. And it doesn't stop there. Your relationships change, too. When you begin to treat yourself with kindness, when you honor your needs without shame, you show up differently for the people around you. You become more patient, more understanding, and most importantly, more open. The walls that kept you guarded start to fall away, replaced by genuine connection, both with yourself and with those you love. But perhaps the most profound transformation happens quietly, in those moments when no one else is watching. When you lie down at night and feel a deep sense of peace settle over you, not because life is perfect, but because you've finally given yourself permission to live fully, without regret. That's the kind of peace that isn't bought or earned, it's allowed. And it's waiting for you. So, what happens if you stop masturbating in old age? You lose more than just a moment of pleasure. You lose a connection to yourself that is essential for emotional well-being, physical health, and spiritual peace. But if you choose to reclaim it, even gently, even quietly, you open a door to something far greater, a life lived with intention, with softness, with joy. And if this journey has stirred something in your heart, if it's made you reflect on the life you've lived and the life you still have the power to shape, then let this moment be the one where you say yes to yourself. You don't have to announce it to the world. You don't have to explain it to anyone. All you have to do is take that first small, brave step toward reconnecting with the person who has been patiently waiting for your attention, you. And before we part ways, if this conversation has resonated with you, I'd love for you to take a small action right now. If this message brought you comfort, clarity, or even just a moment of hope, please take a second to like this video. It's a simple way to help us reach others who might be quietly wrestling with these same thoughts. And don't be shy, share your experiences in the comments below. Your story, your wisdom, might be the very thing someone else needs to hear to begin their own journey back to themselves. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future conversations like this, conversations that remind us all that life, even after 60, is filled with beautiful new beginnings. Until we meet again, take care of your heart, be gentle with your body, and never forget, there is still so much life ahead, waiting for you to embrace it. And that, my friend, is a journey well worth taking.